So what's your experience of the teaching here with me?
Where to start? First off, it's I think pretty much only been at my request. So it's not something you've forced on me or even just suggested to me. It's something more I came seeking. Sometimes people will be saying, "Do you know what you should do, Matthew? You should do this. You should do that." And there's never been any of that from you, unless I've asked for your advice. And there's been a sort of, a loving detachment, you might say. In so much as there's obviously a sort of there's an undercurrent of sort of the love that two friends have is there. But at the same time, you're not attached to me getting any result. So if I do or don't do things, it's the same to you. I think in a way, you don't sort of say, "Oh, I'm very disappointed you haven't done this," or I think you should. It's very
Yes.
different from other
Yeah.
teachers maybe who, again seem more invested in the outcome, but not necessarily for my benefit. It might be more to their benefit, so they can go around and say, "Hey, look, I've done this. My teaching has worked."
I think the bottom line is that I have no investment in you getting this or not getting this. As far as I'm concerned, in one way, it's nothing to do with me. So this is freely given, and it's freely walked away from. And you have actually walked away from it at times when it's been too much to look at and take on, and that has to be your right. When you did retreat for a while, it changed things a lot because this is a fundamental big thing that is at the centre of our relationship, I think. So therefore our relationship sort of diminished a lot when you walked away from this, because this is who I am, this is where I come from. You're walking away from an engagement with me, that the engagement changes, it's sort of diminished a lot to a sort of very narrow band. Whereas I feel when that wasn't happening, the band is quite wide. And of course, I enjoy that connection. So if I had a preference that you would stay engaged and continue this. So on the relative level, I would have that preference. But behind that is the knowledge that if you're meant to get this and go further into this, you will. And if you're not, you won't. And there's no way I can change that, or I should try and change it, because that's pushing the river. You go with the flow, you don't fight the current. So like I said, there's no doing in this teaching. It's like a fragrance that's being shared, and the bees that come, and the bees that don't come, don't come. So I think because that principle is behind it, there's no tension from my side that gets put on you. But from your side, there will be stress and tension when your personality encounters things that it doesn't want to look at. I'm finding out how this works. This is relatively new to me. Not the waking up bit, but the sharing of it. I'm finding out how people respond to this and to me talking about this. So that's a learning that's going on in this system. And it's beautiful. I'm also, the sides that perhaps you could say aren't beautiful. The personality can smell when there's danger, when there's things that undermine it, and it doesn't like it. And that means they block it. And if that means they block me, that's what happens. And this is what happened between us for a short while. I knew it was that your personality was fighting what I was saying, but I could not say what I had to say. Now, if that was coming from my ego or my needing to be right or my needing to put you down, you would be absolutely right to pull away. But it wasn't. So it shows the kind of sacredness of this contract. It's dangerous for me because I have to say what I have to say to impart the truth of this. And in many cases, that it's going to attract people who want to block that or put it down and therefore put me down. Or any way it can, it will diffuse the threat of that. So it's an odd role in that when the connection is made, it's a very deep connection, deeper than most connections, because you're sharing something of the absolute, of the finest fragrance. But when it doesn't work, when there is the fighting of it, it becomes Well, as you know, it can suddenly turn sour and go from that to that
That's
contraction.
the personality, though, completely, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can just feel the difference.
It's like heaven and hell. It's like openness and closeness are right beside each other. There's a Pretenders song, there's a thin line between love and hate, which is a great title, I think. A great
That
song.
actually came into your mind. My mind as you.
It came into your mind too?
As you said it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, one other thing I feel, I think differences just from being around you, again, there's no shoulds, musts, or, there's no pressure from you. It's like an open door that I can walk in and out of, but very different from any other, sort of spiritual teaching I've had, I think, where often there's a sort of seriousness put on it.
Do you find me serious?
At times, but, at times light-hearted.
Yeah, and there's a thing, we come back to these talks, which you mentioned after your opening, which is the ordinariness of it, but the extraordinariness within that. People write to me, and I can feel in the way they write the wonder coming through and the joy of it. Are you aware of your personality and what it's doing? Are you identified with it or not? You can boil it all down to that. There's no set of rules to follow. There's nothing to believe. Watch. Are you seeing what's going on? You will identify with it and not, and identify with it and not, in and out, until the day where that chain is cut forever. And that's what this teaching represents, and that's what I'm here to share. That can end forever, because that's what happened to me in this